Take one slow breath before you go any further, because this message is not light, and it did not arrive here by accident. Something has been building in silence for a long time, and what you are about to hear carries weight, tension, and truth that was buried deeper than anyone realized. There is someone connected to you who has been holding back far more than they ever showed on the surface. They did not stop caring. They did not simply forget. They did not move on in the clean and easy way their silence may have made it seem. What really happened was quieter than that, slower than that, and far more painful inside than they would ever admit out loud. If this is already hitting something deep in you, stay with me, because the next part matters. What they pushed down did not disappear. It stayed there. It grew heavier, day after day, night after night. And now something has shifted hard enough inside them that they can no longer pretend it does not exist. They are feeling the pressure of everything they never said, everything they never did, and every moment they thought they could delay without cost. But time has started to feel different to them now. The silence no longer feels safe. It feels dangerous. It feels like loss. And what they are facing in this moment is not only the fear of reaching out, it is the fear that they may already be too late. There is a person in your life who locked their real feelings away for much longer than you ever guessed. They carried them in secret. They hid them behind distance, behind mixed signals, behind silence that looked controlled on the outside but was anything but calm within. They kept telling themselves it was easier not to speak, easier not to explain, easier to wait until the right moment showed up on its own. But buried emotions do not vanish just because someone refuses to face them. They stay in the dark. They grow heavier there. They sink deeper into the chest until one day they rise all at once and demand to be felt. That is where this message is coming from now, not from perfect bravery, not from peace, not from sudden wisdom. It is coming from panic, regret, and the painful realization that too much time may have already slipped through their hands. Something stirred them recently. Maybe they saw something that reminded them of you. Maybe they heard your name unexpectedly. Maybe life got quiet enough that they could no longer drown out the truth with noise, distraction, or pride. Whatever it was, it broke through the walls they had been hiding behind. A thought landed hard in their mind and would not leave. They could lose you for real this time, not in a dramatic way, not with shouting, not with some final scene, quietly, permanently. And that thought has been shaking them more than they know how to handle. This did not hit them during a busy hour when they could brush it aside and keep moving. It came in still moments, late at night, in silence, in the empty space after the phone stopped lighting up, in the strange hollowness that appears when other people are around but none of it feels real. When the noise of life faded, truth got louder, and the truth was simple, sharp, and impossible to dodge. No one else carries your energy the way you do. No one else listened the way you listened. No one else understood them without making them explain every little wound, every mood, every silence. No one else gave comfort without making them feel trapped, judged, or pushed too fast. Once that became clear, urgency began to build. But listen carefully here, because this part matters. That urgency is not made of pure love alone. It is also made of fear. Fear of losing something rare. Fear of watching a door close that may never open in the same way again. Fear of realizing too late that what they had with you was not ordinary and cannot be replaced by simply finding someone new. If they could speak without pride getting in the way, without excuses blocking their throat, they would say one plain thing: they should have done more, and they should have done it sooner. They thought your patience would always be there. They thought your care had no deadline. They thought silence would not wound as deeply as it did. Now they are starting to understand how wrong they were. They carry guilt, and it is heavier than they expected. Guilt for not showing up when their presence was needed most. Guilt for staying quiet when honesty was the only thing that could have helped. Guilt for choosing distance when courage was what the moment demanded. Back then, silence felt easier to manage. Avoiding the truth felt safer than facing the risk of being open. They told themselves they were protecting the situation, protecting themselves, protecting whatever fragile balance existed between you. But delay does not protect love. It damages it slowly. Avoidance does not remove pain. It stores it up and sends it back with more force later. That is exactly what happened here. This person does not struggle because they feel too little. They struggle because they feel more than they know how to carry. To open up to you would have meant accepting risk. It would have meant possible rejection. It would have meant letting you see parts of them they were not ready to meet in themselves. So instead of following their heart, they followed fear. They let pride make decisions. They let silence speak for them. And now the choices they once treated like temporary delays have grown into real consequences that they can no longer ignore. Stay with this, because what comes next cuts even deeper. There is another layer pressing on them now, one they did not prepare for at all. They can feel that you are not the same as before. Something in you has shifted. Something in your energy has changed direction, and they know it. You may still feel something. You may still care in some quiet corner of your heart, but you are no longer standing in the same painful place you once stood in for them. You are not chasing clarity the way you used to. You are not repeating yourself, hoping this time they will hear you. You are not sitting in that old confusion, trying to make sense of mixed signals while carrying the whole emotional weight alone. That change unsettles them more than they expected. In truth, they leaned on your patience far more than was fair. They leaned on your softness. They leaned on your understanding. Somewhere deep down, they assumed you would always be there, always available, always willing to hold space while they stayed guarded. They did not seriously consider that one day you would become tired of waiting and choose yourself instead. But that day came, and they can feel it now. They feel it in your quiet. They feel it in your slower responses. They feel it in the way your energy no longer reaches toward them in the same open way. And what scares them is not only losing you as a person, it is losing the feeling of being truly seen by someone who did not judge them harshly for what was seen. They are afraid of losing that rare emotional safety they depended on more than they ever admitted. They are afraid of losing the space where they felt understood without pressure. Only now are they learning that some bonds do not rebuild easily once neglected. Some connections cannot be recovered by a late apology and a few emotional words. That understanding follows them everywhere lately, and it does not let them rest. It rises when the room gets quiet. It follows them when they try to move on and cannot find solid emotional ground. It comes back every time they compare another person to you and feel immediately and clearly the difference. This is why the sense of urgency inside them keeps growing. It is not about control. It is not about winning. It is not about trying to pull you back into old confusion. It is about realizing that time is no longer stretching out endlessly in front of them. They can feel a door moving toward closure, slowly, softly, without drama. And that is what makes it serious. A loud ending can still leave space for return, but a quiet closing inside someone's heart is different. Once that kind of calm arrives, it does not open easily again. They want to reach out. They want to explain. They want to offer an apology that feels real, not defensive, not weak, not empty. But fear stops them before anything begins. Fear asks if it is already too late. Fear whispers that maybe you no longer care the way you once did. Fear tells them that if they finally show you their real self, they may be rejected in a way that will hurt more than silence ever did. So they hold back. They write words in their mind and erase them before they ever speak. They imagine full conversations that never happen. They picture every possible outcome and still stay frozen in place. And while they hesitate, the pressure inside keeps building. If you feel the weight of this, keep listening, because this is not just about what they feel. It is also about what all of this means for you. This is not telling you to wait. It is not asking you to reopen wounds before you are ready. It is not pushing you back into the same painful cycle you already survived. It is only revealing the truth they failed to show through their actions before. You mattered to them far more than they expressed. Your absence feels louder to them now than your presence ever seemed when you were there. What existed between you was real, even if they handled it badly, even if fear twisted it, even if silence damaged it. But the power now sits with you. That part is important, so do not skip over it. The power is with you, Real power does not rush forward just because someone else suddenly feels panic. Desperation is not the same thing as readiness. A person can feel strong regret and still not be capable of the steady love and consistency that a real bond needs to survive. Right now, they are sitting with the results of who they were when it mattered most. Results are honest. They strip away the comforting stories people tell themselves. They expose what silence really cost. They show what pride really did. They make excuses sound thin and empty. This person is replaying old moments now, moments they once thought were too small to matter. The little ways you checked in, the little ways you understood, the little ways you stayed gentle even when they pulled away. And now, seen through the lens of loss, those moments feel enormous. They see them clearly, they feel them deeply, and that clarity hurts more than they expected it would. They remember how naturally you moved toward understanding